Good day for the research and academic professionals attending CITC Global Conference at Amman, Jordan. This is Aslam here, presenting you one of the research papers for this conference: Design Error Cost in Commercial Construction Projects, along with Dr. Siddiqi, who is Design Chair of Kennesaw State University, Georgia, USA. Uh, I would just start the topic with, as we discussed, on the design error cost in commercial projects. So just moving on to the next slide, uh, I will just give a brief introduction on background for this one. The design errors has been part and parcel of construction industry, and they had been impacting the project schedule, project quality, project cost, and the performance of the contractor overall. A study is required to understand the and understand and comprehend the design error uh, cost in terms of the project value, because considerable effort has been done to understand the type of design errors, but to measure the design errors in terms of project costs, there's a little bit of gap, and this study actually tries to bridge the gap by trying to measure the design error cost. And the intended audience for this project, for this research paper, is eventually design professionals and design firms associated with the commercial construction projects. We can just quickly go into the aim, objective, and scope of this research paper. The aim is to understand and to improve the business practices of design professionals in the construction industry. The objective was to estimate the design error cost in the construction industry, and the overall scope considered for this was within 20 million USD was the project value, and it's a mid-size commercial projects. And the basic hypothesis was the design error contributed 5% to the increase of the commercial construction project value. That was the hypothesis which was formulated, and we based our paper based on this parameters, and we went ahead with the research. We'll try to understand how the data was collected and how the research and methodology was done. So the data was just collected from Georgia, Atlanta, and overall 40 projects within the value of 20 million USD was considered, and a quantitative based approach, which is numerical in terms of number, was formulated. And the basic research methodology which was considered was to circulate a questionnaire survey, conduct telephonic interviews, and meet in person interviews. And that was the basic format that we collected the data. And the direct feedback from the industry expert were also solicited, because we had actually collected all this data from seasoned professionals who have completely gone through the project, so that the reliability of the data is very precise. And basically we ended up with a respondent pool of GCs, general contractors 42%, designers 23%, and owners 35%. So we can see overall uniform distribution of the designers, the respondent pool, for which the data reliability was based on. Moving on to another slide, we'll just quickly understand how our results and inferences was confirmed or formulated from the uh, data collection which we described earlier. We had tried to understand to group the data into various chunks of group data, that is 0 to 5, 5 to 7.5%, 7.5 to 10%, 10 to 15%, 15 to 20%, so on and so forth. But when we arrived with the data, we can see the major data chunk or the design error were mostly around 5 to 7% of the project area, which happens to be the mode, and where in which 12%, 12 projects out of 40 projects were based on. And generally you can see the range is around 3.5 percentage to 30%, in which the majority of the project fell from 0 to 10 percentage. And we'll go for the next slide to try to understand how the rankings are there. As we said, coming to this last slide, The ranking was first for the 5 to 7.5%, second for 7.5 to 10, and third for 0 to 5 percentage, and fourth for 10 to 15, and so on and so forth. But to arrive at the mean, mode, and the uh, overall median, it all fell into the range of 5 to 7.5 percentage, and we all based our calculation based on empirical group data formula. So we'll just go for the next slide to understand as we arrive at this overall arithmetic value for the project value. The objective of the study quickly was to understand the design error cost in terms of commercial construction projects within 20 million, and this was found to be 7.95% of the project cost, and regardless of any procurement methods, that is, irrespective of GMP or cost flex or whatever it is. And we had based our study based on the hypothesis that design errors increase the projects of the cost, and it was validated through the study. Yes, it does increase, and it was more than 5%, which was anticipated. And as we also know that during the study, there was also a questionnaire which was circulated, and out of the feedback which came is that even though the advanced softwares like BIM, Revit, and other uh, advanced technical softwares were used, but they can only minimize the design errors and conflicts, but could not eliminate them. None of the respondents say that they were able to eliminate them. And the range, which I already mentioned, was around 3.5 to 30% was the overall bandwidth, and in which the majority accumulated around 5 to 7.5%. And the study also confirms that this is a overall realistic stock of design error percentage increase for the project value, in on which the design firms can have a introspection to improve the design quality so that they can minimize the design errors cost implications. Next slide, we will try to understand what are the major one of the findings which we could figure out from this study is that though the design documents or contract documents are prepared as per the code compliant issued by the city or the county, there was always a technical gap which was between the code compliance designs and the site inspectors, which was an I would say standout feedback from the everybody, because each requires further research for validation, and it will be an offshoot of the study which we can take it up for the further research. And this study actually wanted to measure the design errors, which we eventually did, and it was the objective was achieved as we could figure out a number for it. And we had only done this with a specific scope, and we had incorporated only new build projects. This study actually didn't consider or probably didn't account into renovation or refurbished commercial projects. But this, if that needs to be validated or same number needs to be arrived, probably we might require further research to determine the design error cost increase in refurbished or commercial projects. So that was one of the things. So to summarize, we had actually started off the study with an hypothesis that design errors increase the project value, which they did. We wanted to estimate the design error cost in terms of project value, and we had arrived at the number which stands around 7 point percentage of the overall project value, and that's how it was done. And I would thank you for your time and consideration, and if there's any question, please let us know. Thank you very much.